Morning light spread across the valley, painting the hills in soft gold. Birds sang in the branches and the air smelled of wildflowers. In this quiet place stood a colony, where humans had built simple homes of stone and wood. Life was peaceful, but the valley held secrets far older than the settlers. Deep in the shaded cliffs, hidden in warm caves, dragon eggs rested, waiting for the right moment to hatch. The people of the colony often spoke of them in whispers, both in wonder and in fear. Mira, a little 7-year-old girl, had never feared the valley. She loved to wander with her small basket, collecting bright stones, wild berries, and feathers dropped by passing birds. Her parents warned her never to go too close to the dragon nesting grounds, but Mira's curiosity was stronger than her fear. That morning, as the sun climbed higher, she followed a trail of blue flowers until she found herself standing before a cave she had never seen before. The cave mouth was wide, cool air flowing out like a quiet breath. Inside, soft cracks and scratching sounds echoed. Mira stepped forward slowly, her heart beating fast but her eyes shining with excitement. She did not know she had come at the exact moment of a new life. On the rocky floor of the cave lay a cracked egg, larger than any basket she had ever carried. The shell glowed faintly, streaked with silver and green. From the broken opening, a small head pushed through, followed by a trembling body. The dragon hatchling wriggled free, slipping onto the ground with a weak cry. Its wings were too small, bent at odd angles. Its scales were dull brown, not shining like the stories described. Its eyes blinked slowly, filled with both hunger and fear. Mira gasped. She had heard adults call dragons mighty and beautiful, but this one looked nothing like the tales. It was smaller, thinner, and weaker. She knew at once that if other dragons saw it, they might push it aside. Even the humans of the colony would likely laugh or turn away. For a long moment, Mira stood frozen at the sight. Then a smile spread across her face. "Cute," she whispered, her voice filled with warmth. The hatchling tilted its head as if trying to understand the sound. Its little body shook, wings twitching as though it wanted to hide. But Mira's smile never faded. She placed her basket gently on the ground and knelt. Her hands stayed open and empty, showing no threat. "You are not ugly," she said softly. "You are just small. Small things can still be wonderful." The hatchling blinked again and took one unsteady step toward her. Its claws clicked against the stone floor and its wings dragged behind it. Mira waited patiently, not moving too fast, knowing sudden actions might scare the newborn. The creature stopped just before her knees, nose twitching as it sniffed the air. Slowly, it lowered its head and pressed its snout into her palm. Mira's heart leapt with joy. She laughed, a gentle sound that filled the cave. "See, you like me already," she said, stroking its head. Its skin was rough, but warm, and beneath the roughness she could feel a faint strength waiting to grow. Far outside the cave, other hatchlings were breaking their shells, calling out with strong cries. Those were the dragons the elders admired. But here, in this hidden corner, Mira had found the one no one would want, the one already judged as weak. And yet in her eyes it was perfect. The hatchling tried to step closer but stumbled and fell against her. Mira caught it in her arms, hugging it tightly. It made a soft sound, neither growl nor chirp, more like a sigh of relief. She held it as one might hold a lost puppy, rocking it gently. "You need a name," she whispered. She thought for a moment and then said, "Luma, that will be your name. Luma means light, and I think you will shine one day." The hatchling made another small sound, almost as if it agreed. Mira giggled and wiped some dust from its wings. She knew she could not stay forever in the cave, but she also knew she could not leave Luma alone. Carefully, she set the hatchling back on the ground, and it looked up at her with wide eyes. "I will come back," she promised. "Every day if I can. You are not alone anymore." With that promise, Mira picked up her basket and turned toward the sunlight. Behind her, Luma gave a weak but hopeful cry. The sound followed her all the way back to the path. Mira's steps felt lighter than ever. She had found something rare that morning, something no story had ever told her. A friend who was small, strange, and yet filled with quiet wonder. The colony would not understand at first, she knew. They would not see what she saw. But Mira's heart was steady. She had looked upon the so-called ugliest dragon hatchling and seen beauty. She had called it cute. And in that single choice, she had begun a bond that would one day change both human and dragon lives forever. The next morning, Mira woke before the sun. She rubbed her sleepy eyes, pulled on her worn boots, and carried a small bag of bread and dried fruit. The valley was quiet, filled with the soft mist of dawn. Most children still slept, but Mira's heart was restless. She had promised the little hatchling she would return, and she meant to keep her word. As she walked down the stone path, she looked around to make sure no one was watching. Her parents thought she wandered too much, and the elders often warned children to stay away from the caves. If they knew she had found a dragon hatchling, they would never let her near it again. Mira did not want to lose her new friend before their bond had even begun. The cave was just as she remembered, cool and quiet. She stepped inside and whispered, "Luma." From the shadows came a soft sound, a weak chirp that made Mira smile at once. The little dragon was still there, crouched on the rocky floor. Its wings drooped and its eyes were half closed, but when it saw Mira, it tried to stand. Its legs shook, yet it wobbled toward her with effort as if it had been waiting all night. Mira knelt and opened her bag. "I brought food," she said gently. She broke a piece of bread into small crumbs and placed them on the ground. Luma sniffed, poked at the crumbs with his snout, and then began to eat clumsily. Mira clapped her hands in delight. "Good," she said softly. "See, you can eat just fine. You only need help." When the crumbs were gone, Mira gave him a small piece of dried fruit. He chewed slowly, tail twitching behind him. It was not much, but Mira was proud to share what she could. After the meal, Luma crawled closer, curling up at her side. His small body radiated warmth. Mira stroked his head, smoothing the rough scales. She spoke in a calm, cheerful voice, telling him stories about the village, about the birds that nested on the rooftops, about the sparkling river where she liked to play. Luma tilted his head as though he were listening, his golden eyes blinking gently with each sound. For Mira, it felt natural to talk to him. She had no brothers or sisters, and the other children often teased her for being quiet and strange. But Luma did not laugh at her. He only listened, breathing softly, and she felt a comfort she had never known before. Hours passed quickly. Mira skipped pebbles across the cave floor, and Luma tried to chase them, though his legs wobbled too much to run far. When he tripped and rolled onto his side, Mira clapped her hands and laughed, not in mockery but in joy. "You are learning," she said. "Falling means you are trying." Luma let out a chirping sound that almost sounded like laughter in return. The bond between them grew stronger with every moment. Each touch of her hand and each gentle word gave the little dragon courage. Where he had been weak and afraid, he now lifted his head a little higher. Where his wings once dragged, they now twitched with effort. He was still small and strange, but under Mira's care, he was no longer alone. That evening, Mira knew she had to return home before her parents noticed her absence. She knelt again and stroked Luma's back. "I have to go," she said softly. "But I will return tomorrow. I promise." The dragon lowered his head almost as if he understood her words. Mira placed a small feather from her basket near his nest of broken shell pieces. "This is for you," she said. "Keep it, and you will remember me until I come back." She turned and walked toward the sunlight. Behind her, Luma gave a soft cry, the same sound he had made the day before. Mira looked back once, smiling. "I will come back, I swear." When she reached the village, the evening bells were ringing, calling everyone home. Mira hurried into her family's house. Her mother was stirring soup and her father was repairing tools. They greeted her warmly, asking about her walk, and Mira simply nodded, keeping her secret close to her heart. That night, as she lay in bed, she thought of Luma. She imagined his soft eyes, his trembling wings, and his small body curling against her. He was not like the shining dragons from the old tales, but he was hers. She whispered into the darkness, "Cute Luma, my Luma." Sleep came slowly, filled with dreams of flying across the valley with her dragon friend. From that day on, her visits became a secret rhythm of her life. Each morning she brought food and stories. Each evening she left behind small gifts, stones, feathers, flowers. And each time Luma grew a little stronger. His eyes shone brighter, his wings lifted higher, and his steps grew steadier. Though the village did not know, though the elders would not approve, Mira had begun something powerful. She had chosen love where others would see weakness. She had seen beauty where others would turn away. And Luma, the hatchling once thought worthless, was learning to believe in himself because of her. Their bond was no longer a chance meeting. It was the beginning of a friendship that would carry them into dangers and wonders neither could yet imagine. The sun was high, shining bright over the colony fields. Children ran and played, their voices filling the air with laughter. Mira sat quietly on a wooden bench near the well, holding a piece of bread in her lap. Her thoughts were not with the games or the other children. Her thoughts were with Luma, waiting in the cave, probably hungry and restless. For days now, Mira had visited her secret friend every morning. She fed him, told him stories, and brought him small treasures. Each day, Luma grew stronger. His wings still bent at odd angles, but he could lift them now. His legs no longer shook as badly, and he could walk more steadily across the cave floor. His eyes shone brighter, and his soft chirps carried more strength. Mira's heart swelled with pride each time she saw his progress. But keeping this secret was not easy. She wanted to tell someone, to share her joy. At last, she whispered about it to 2 other children, boys her age who often followed her around. She thought maybe they would understand. "There is a dragon hatchling," she told them, her voice low, not like the others, small and weak. "But he is mine. I take care of him. His name is Luma." The boys stared at her for a moment, then burst into laughter. "A weak dragon?" one of them said. "That is no treasure. That is nothing. Dragons are supposed to be big and strong," the other added. "If yours is small and ugly, then it is worthless." Mira's cheeks grew hot and she shook her head. "He is not ugly, he is cute. And he is not worthless. He only needs kindness," but the boys only laughed louder. They ran off, shouting to the other children. "Mira found the ugliest dragon hatchling. She calls it cute. She loves a weak one." Soon the whole group was laughing. Mira turned away, clutching the bread tightly in her small hands. Her eyes stung, but she refused to cry. She knew the truth in her heart, and no amount of teasing could erase it. That evening, whispers reached the ears of the elders. They called Mira's parents to the meeting hall. The hall was a tall stone building at the center of the colony, where the oldest and wisest sat in a circle. Mira was brought inside as well, though she clung nervously to her mother's hand. The elder with the longest beard leaned forward. "Mira," he said in a deep voice, "we hear strange words. We hear you have been spending time with a dragon hatchling. Is this true?" Mira looked down at her feet. She did not want to lie, but she feared what they might say. At last she whispered, "Yes, he is my friend." Gasps rose from the circle. Another elder shook her head. "Dragons are not pets," she said firmly. "They are wild. They grow dangerous. A weak hatchling should be left behind, for nature decides which survive. You should not interfere." "But he is alive," Mira said, her voice shaking yet strong. "He is small, but he tries. He needs help. I help him." Her words were met with frowns. Some of the elders murmured to one another. Finally, her father spoke. "Mira, you must understand. Dragons are not toys. If it is weak, then it cannot survive. You must let it go." Mira's eyes filled with tears, but she lifted her chin. "I cannot leave him. Everyone says he is ugly and worthless, but he is not. He is my friend."
"He is Luma, he is cute." The hall grew silent.
For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the oldest elder sighed. "The child is stubborn," he said. "Let her have her fantasy. Soon the hatchling will fade and she will learn the truth of the world. We need not stop her, for the world will teach her." Mira's heart ached at their words, but she held them close to her chest. She thought of Luma's warm snout in her palm, of his bright eyes looking up at her, of his efforts to walk and flap his crooked wings. She knew he was not fading. He was growing. That night she hurried back to the cave as soon as she could slip away. Luma was waiting near the entrance, as if he had sensed her sadness. He let out a soft cry and pressed his head against her chest. Mira hugged him tightly, tears rolling down her cheeks. "They do not believe in you," she whispered. "They think you are weak. But I know better. You are not ugly. You are not worthless. You are Luma, and you are mine." Luma gave a small rumble in reply, his tail curling around her feet. Mira laughed through her tears. "We will prove them wrong," she said. "One day they will see what I see. One day they will call you strong." In the stillness of the cave, the bond between girl and hatchling deepened even more. The world outside doubted, mocked, and dismissed them, but inside the cave there was only trust. Mira believed with all her heart, and Luma seemed to draw strength from her belief. Together they formed a promise stronger than any word spoken in the meeting hall, and though neither could know it yet, that promise would be tested sooner than they imagined. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Mira and Luma grew deeper. Every morning Mira woke with the sun, carrying food and small treasures for her dragon friend. Every evening she returned home with a secret smile, her heart filled with joy no one else could understand. By now, Luma was stronger. His body had grown, though he was still smaller than the other dragons Mira sometimes glimpsed circling high above the valley. His wings were still uneven, one longer than the other, but they no longer dragged on the ground. His steps were firmer and his golden eyes sparkled with life. Mira began to wonder if he could fly. She had seen birds lift from the trees with ease. She had seen the older dragons soar across the clouds. But could Luma rise into the air with his crooked wings? One bright afternoon, she decided to find out. She led him out of the cave to a grassy hill near the cliffs. The sky above was blue and clear, and the wind brushed gently across the valley. Mira clapped her hands and pointed upward. "Come, Luma," she said with excitement. "You can do it. Spread your wings. Try to fly." Luma looked at her, tilting his head as if unsure. Then with a determined rumble, he spread his wings wide. The crooked shape made him look awkward, but his spirit shone through. He flapped them hard, stirring dust and grass around his feet. His body lifted a little, just an inch, then dropped back with a thud. Mira clapped anyway. Yes, that was good. Try again. Encouraged by her voice, Luma flapped once more, harder this time. His body lifted a little higher before crashing back to the ground. He rolled onto his side, wings bent awkwardly, and let out a frustrated growl. Mira hurried to his side and stroked his head. "Do not be sad," she said gently. "Falling only means you are learning. You are stronger than before. I believe in you." Luma blinked at her and pushed himself back onto his feet. His determination had not broken. He tried again and again and again. Each time he rose a little higher, though each time he fell just as quickly. Mira never stopped cheering. She clapped, laughed, and shouted encouragement, her small voice carrying across the valley. Hours passed, and though Luma never managed to stay in the air for long, his spirit grew brighter. His tail lashed with pride and his wings beat with greater rhythm. He was tired, but he was learning. Mira could see it. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in orange and pink, Mira sat down on the grass. Luma curled up beside her, his sides rising and falling with heavy breaths. She leaned against him, resting her cheek on his warm scales. "You will fly one day," she whispered. "Not just a little. You will soar high above, higher than anyone expects." "I know it," Luma gave a soft rumble in reply, as if agreeing. His golden eyes glowed in the fading light. The next morning, Mira returned with renewed excitement. She had brought a ribbon she had found in her mother's sewing box. Bright red and shining, she tied it gently around Luma's neck, letting it flutter in the breeze. "When you fly, everyone will see you," she said. "You will not only fly, you will shine." Luma shook his head at first, trying to understand the strange thing around his neck, but then he seemed to like it. He stretched his wings proudly and faced the sky once more. This time he ran across the grass, wings beating harder than ever. For a brief, shining moment, he lifted off the ground. His shadow stretched beneath him, and Mira gasped with joy. He hovered just long enough for her to cheer before tumbling down into the grass again. She ran to him, laughing and clapping. "You did it!" "You were flying, even if only for a little. You are amazing, Luma." The dragon lifted his head proudly, puffing out a small plume of smoke. His crooked wings might not look perfect, but in Mira's eyes he was already beautiful. As days passed, the practice continued. Luma stumbled, rolled, and fell many times, yet he never gave up. Mira's laughter and cheers filled the valley each time, chasing away his frustration. Slowly, his flights lasted longer. Slowly, his wings grew stronger. But the other children noticed Mira slipping away each day. They whispered among themselves. They told their parents they had seen her running to the cliffs, and soon the elders began to wonder what secret she kept. Mira did not care. She only cared about Luma. To her, his first flight attempts were more precious than all the village games, more important than all the teasing voices. She had seen him fall and rise again, and she knew no one else could see what she saw. One evening, as the stars began to appear, she whispered to him, "You are not the ugliest hatchling. You are the bravest, and one day the whole colony will know it too." Luma rested his head against her shoulder, wings folding gently around her. In that quiet moment, girl and dragon both knew their bond had grown stronger than doubt, stronger than fear. The world could laugh, the elders could frown, but nothing could stop their promise of flight. The days of peace in the valley did not last. While Mira spent her time teaching Luma to fly, far away in the hills an old danger stirred. The humans of the colony often told stories of the machine swarm, a strange enemy from long ago. The machines were not alive, yet they moved like hunters. They fed on energy and metal, stripping land and villages until nothing was left. Many believed the swarm was gone forever, destroyed by storms and time, but the stories were wrong. One evening, Mira sat in the grass near the cave, tossing pebbles while Luma tried to chase them. His wings flapped clumsily as he jumped, sometimes lifting for a moment before falling back with a soft thud. Mira clapped and laughed each time, never tired of his attempts. She felt safe in their secret world, but far above them, shadows moved in the clouds. That night, the colony alarm bells rang. Loud, heavy clangs echoed through the village. People rushed from their houses, gathering in the square. The elders shouted for calm, but fear spread quickly. Bright streaks of light had been seen near the hills, and the sky glowed with strange sparks. Scouts returned with grim news. The machines were awake again, crawling and flying toward the valley. Mira's parents pulled her close as the leaders gave orders. Weapons were prepared and watchtowers lit fires to signal danger. "Stay inside the house," her father told her. "Do not wander. The machines are not like beasts. They do not feel fear. They destroy all they touch." But Mira's thoughts were not with her house. They were with Luma. Alone in his cave, her dragon did not know what threat approached. She worried he might be in danger if the machines reached the cliffs. She could not leave him unprotected. The next morning, when the colony gathered to build defenses, Mira slipped away. She carried a small pouch of food and ran to the cave. Luma greeted her with a joyful cry, rushing forward with his crooked wings spread wide. Mira hugged him tightly, hiding her fear behind a smile. "There is danger," she whispered. "The machines are coming. They will not care if you are small or weak. They will harm everything, but do not be afraid. I am with you." Luma pressed his head against her chest, his body trembling. He seemed to sense the unease in her voice. His golden eyes flicked toward the valley as if he too felt the storm building. That night, the danger arrived. From the hills came a sound like grinding stone and buzzing wings. The swarm descended, a mix of crawling shapes and flying metal beasts, their eyes glowing red. They moved with endless hunger, cutting down trees and tearing at rocks as they advanced. The colony fought back with fire and arrows, but the machines were many, and their hard shells turned aside most attacks. Mira watched from the edge of the cliffs, her heart pounding. She had run to see, though her parents had begged her to stay inside. The sky flashed with fire as defenders tried to hold the swarm. But the machines pushed closer and closer, their glowing red eyes spreading like stars across the land. Luma stood beside her, wings trembling. He was still small compared to the giant shapes crawling below, yet his body shook with a sound that was not fear but anger. He gave a sharp cry, louder than any she had heard before. Mira turned to him in surprise. "You want to fight?" she whispered. "But you are not ready. Your wings are not strong enough." Still, Luma flapped them, stumbling forward as if ready to leap. Mira grabbed his neck gently, tears filling her eyes. "No, you will be hurt. You are not ugly, you are brave, but you are not strong enough yet." The machines climbed higher, their red eyes glowing brighter as they approached the colony walls. The defenders fought desperately, but Mira could see they were struggling. She looked at Luma and then back at the swarm. Her heart ached with the choice. She knelt and held his snout close to her face. "Listen, Luma, you may be small, but you have fire inside you. I believe in you. The colony does not believe, the elders do not believe, but I do. One day you will be the one who saves us. Not tonight, maybe, but one day." Luma rumbled softly, curling his tail around her feet. His eyes blazed with a light she had never seen before. The battle raged through the night. The colony held the line, though barely. Many walls were broken and fields were burned. The machines withdrew only because the defenders destroyed their first wave, but the people knew this was not the end. The swarm would return stronger than before. When morning came, smoke covered the valley. The people gathered to count losses and repair damage. Mira returned quietly to the cave with Luma at her side. She stroked his wings, her voice firm. "The world thinks you are weak," she said, "but I know better. One day when the machines return, you will rise. You will fly, and you will prove them all wrong." Luma lifted his head, and for the first time, a spark of fire flickered in his throat. The valley had always been calm, filled with the soft songs of birds and the rustle of wind through the grass. Mira woke early that morning, carrying a small basket of bread and berries for Luma. She walked quickly through the fields, her heart filled with excitement to see her dragon friend. The sunlight sparkled on the cliffs, and she imagined Luma flapping his wings higher than ever before. but the peace was broken far beyond the valley. On the distant hills, shadows moved strangely, reflecting the light in sharp metallic glints. Long ago, the elders had told stories of machines that could crawl, fly, and devour energy from the land. Most had believed them gone forever, but now the machines had awakened and they were moving toward the valley. Mira did not notice the threat at first. She was too busy calling, "Luma, come out. I brought food." From the cave came a weak chirp and Luma emerged, blinking in the sunlight. His wings stretched awkwardly, but he tried to lift them proudly. Mira laughed and held out a piece of bread. Luma rushed forward, nibbling it quickly. "Eat fast," Mira said. "We have lots of practice today." But the ground trembled faintly beneath them. Mira paused, looking toward the distant hills. Thin clouds of smoke rose from the horizon, and strange noises echoed across the valley. Her heart skipped a beat. Something was coming. The colony alarm bells rang suddenly, loud and clear. The sound shook the village, carrying through the fields and cliffs. Mira's parents ran outside, shouting orders to the villagers. People gathered their tools and weapons. Mira watched from the edge of the cliffs, holding Luma close. "What is happening?" she whispered. Luma looked up at her, his small body trembling, yet his golden eyes were alert. Mira hugged him tightly. "Do not worry. I will not let anything happen to you." The machines arrived by nightfall. Crawling shapes and flying constructs filled the hills, their glowing red eyes sweeping the valley. They moved without sound, yet each step shook the ground. Trees fell before them and rocks were torn apart by their strange claws. The villagers fired arrows and small cannons, but the machines' metal bodies were too strong. Mira stayed hidden on the cliffs, watching the chaos below. She saw the defenders struggle, falling back under the relentless advance. Her hands clenched tightly around Luma's small wings. She knew that he could not fight them alone. He was still learning to fly. He was still small. "I wish I could make you stronger," Mira whispered. "But you are not ready, not yet. You are still learning." Luma pressed his head into her chest, making a soft rumbling sound. Mira stroked his scales. "One day," she said softly, "you will be strong. You will fly higher than anyone expects. You will save us, just wait and see." The battle continued through the night. Fires lit up the valley as villagers tried to drive back the machines. Sparks flew into the sky and the sound of metal clashing echoed far and wide. Mira could see that the machines were powerful, but she also saw the courage in the villagers' eyes. They fought with everything they had, but without help it might not be enough. Mira stayed with Luma, whispering encouragement. "Do not be afraid. You are not weak. You are my dragon and you have fire in your heart. You will grow strong. You will rise." By dawn, the machines had retreated, pulled back by the villagers' efforts, but the valley was damaged. Trees lay broken, walls were cracked, and smoke still drifted through the air. Mira held Luma close, grateful that he was safe. "You see?" she whispered. "The danger is real, but we are still here. You survived even though they are strong, and one day, you will be the one to face them. You will fly and protect everyone." Luma rumbled softly, his tail curling around her feet. For the first time, a small spark of fire flickered in his throat. Mira's eyes widened with wonder. "That's it," she said, smiling. "The fire is in you. You are ready to rise." The valley was quiet for a moment, the sun rising over the damaged fields. Mira looked at Luma with pride. She knew their bond had grown stronger because of the danger. The machines had tested the valley, but they had not broken the trust and courage between the girl and her dragon. Mira whispered again. "The world thinks you are weak, Luma, but I know better. You are brave, and one day you will show everyone how strong you can be." Luma lifted his head, golden eyes shining with determination. Mira knew that soon they would face the machines together. She hugged him tightly, whispering promises of future adventures. Together, they were ready for anything. The sun rose slowly over the valley, casting warm golden light on the broken fields and scorched trees. The colony had survived the machine attack, but the air was heavy with smoke and dust. Mira stood at the edge of the cliff, holding Luma close. Her heart was full of hope, though her eyes were tired from the nights of fear and worry. Luma had grown much since the first day she had found him. His wings were stronger, his legs firmer, and his golden eyes brighter than ever. He still had the crooked shape that made him different from the other dragons, but Mira knew he was no longer weak. He was brave, loyal, and filled with fire inside. The alarm sounded again. From the distant hills, a swarm of machines appeared, louder and faster than before. The villagers ran to their defenses, ready to fight once more. Mira looked down at Luma, whose wings lifted as if he could sense the coming danger. "This is it, Luma," she whispered. "You are ready. You will show them your true strength. Together we can protect the valley." Luma gave a soft rumble and stepped forward. Mira climbed onto his back, holding tightly around his neck. His wings stretched wide, catching the wind. Mira felt a surge of courage. She had seen him fall many times before, yet now he rose without hesitation. The machines advanced across the valley, their red eyes glowing like fire. Villagers shouted and aimed their weapons, but the machines moved too quickly. Mira held on tightly, her heart beating fast. She whispered to Luma, "Fly, Luma. Show them what you can do." With a strong push of his wings, Luma lifted off the ground. The villagers gasped as the little dragon soared into the sky. His crooked wings beat steadily, lifting him higher and higher. Mira held her breath, amazed at how much he had grown. The wind rushed past them, carrying the scent of fire and grass. From above, Luma could see the machines spreading across the valley. He gave a loud roar and flames burst from his throat. The fire was bright, warm, and powerful. The machines shrieked and scattered, their metal bodies melting under the heat. Mira shouted with joy, gripping Luma as he swooped and turned, guiding the flames toward the enemy. The villagers watched in awe. The little dragon they had once called weak and ugly was now a hero. Mira's heart swelled with pride. She knew the colony would never see Luma the same way again. He was no longer just a hatchling. He was a protector, a friend, and a symbol of courage. Luma dived and soared, his wings strong and steady. Mira laughed with joy, feeling the wind whip past her face. The machines retreated, unable to withstand the fire and the bravery of the tiny dragon. The battle ended as quickly as it had begun, leaving the valley in silence once more. When Luma finally landed, Mira slid from his back and hugged him tightly. His body trembled with exhaustion, but his eyes glowed with triumph. Mira whispered, "You did it, Luma. You were amazing. Everyone saw your strength today." The villagers gathered around, their mouths open in wonder. No one spoke at first. Then the oldest elder stepped forward. "This hatchling," he said slowly, "the one we called ugly and weak, he has saved us. He has shown courage beyond what we imagined." People nodded and smiled. Children pointed at Luma, their eyes wide with admiration. Mira's friends approached, no longer laughing at her secret. They saw what she had always known. Luma was special. He was not weak. He was brave, strong, and beautiful in his own way. Mira hugged Luma again, whispering into his warm scales, "See? I told you one day they would understand. You are not ugly. You are perfect just the way you are." The villagers cheered, and Mira felt her heart light. The valley had been saved, but more than that, the people had learned an important lesson. Strength was not only in size or power. Sometimes it was in courage, love, and belief. Mira and Luma had proven that even the smallest and most unusual could make a difference. As the sun set, painting the sky in colors of gold and pink, Mira and Luma stood together on the cliff. The valley stretched before them, peaceful once more. Mira stroked Luma's head, smiling as he lifted his wings and let out a soft roar of triumph. Together, they had faced danger, fear, and doubt. Together, they had risen above every challenge. And together, they would continue to explore, protect, and bring light to the valley, Mira whispered. "We will face every tomorrow together, Luma. You and I, no matter what comes. We are stronger because we have each other." Luma nudged her gently, his golden eyes shining with trust and love. The bond between human and dragon, once small and fragile, was now unbreakable. And in the hearts of everyone who saw them, a new story had begun. The story of a little girl and the dragon hatchling she loved, who together changed the world. The stars appeared in the sky, twinkling above the valley. Mira and Luma watched in quiet wonder, knowing this was only the beginning of their adventures. The valley was safe, their bond was stronger than ever, and their hearts were full of hope for all the days to come.